Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Season 8, Episode 51, overall 436 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, as well as their all-electric vehicles and Cadillac products as well. You can also give the dealership a call at 519-824-0210 and tell them Chris Palme sent you. And you can also email the dealership at info@barrycullen.com. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show is on radio station WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern, the home of Southern Talk and Sports. I hope everyone's doing well on this, I can't believe it's already Friday, September 27th, 2024. We're heading into October next week, and I'm really excited about my episode today. My guest, I'm going to bring her on shortly. This is going to be her first appearance on my show, and her name is Jen Sakato. She is a stand-up comedian out of the Toronto, Ontario area and has been making audiences laugh for 14 years. And she's got a Western Canada tour coming up soon as well. And she's also has her first comedy album, The Dozen, that's available on all social media platforms, including Spotify. So I'm going to bring on Jen Sakato right now, and we'll talk to her about her comedy career and how she started up. Good afternoon, Jen. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. And I see you've been doing this for 14 years now.
Yes, been mentally ill for 14 years. No, it's, stand-up's something I've always loved ever since I was a kid, like teenager, listening to albums and like watching videos and stuff like that. And just like one day, one of my hippie friends at their wedding, they had like a talent show. Just like, because they're hippies, cute stuff like that. And my friends were like, Jen, you should tell jokes. Oh, you're so funny. So I told some jokes and I really enjoyed that experience. I was like, oh, wow, this whole room full of people was laughing at me. So then I just researched, like, how do you start stand-up? Like the open mics, and just been at it ever since.
And you were in Guelph in August, and you did a show last night. How did your show go last night?
Last night. Oh, yes. Sorry. It was good. It was a corporate show for like a women's business owner kind of like retreat type thing. They were good. They were a lot of them, you could tell, are very nice ladies. So they weren't. They were very reserved with their laughter. But hey, I just had to kind of loosen them up a bit, and then the headliner came on and she killed, and that was Martha Chavez, and she's a champ. So,
how long does it generally take you to engage an audience's mood when you're doing stand-up live?
Oh, to gauge?
Yeah, engage like at their mood.
Oh, just from watching like how they respond to the host. Just as soon as the show kicks off, even before the show kicks off, you can have a bit of an idea. How much people have been drinking, the age of people, like what's going on. But then as soon as the host starts and you just see how things are going, that's when you get a read on them.
When you do your live show, do you like the start or do the middle or finish at the end? What do you prefer?
Oh, well, the middle, you're the hero. You just go in. Can I swear?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
Oh, then I won't. I don't want to get anyone canceled. But no, you go in, you do the thing, and you get out. You know what I mean? You don't have to work on like warming them up because the host or open has already done that. Headliner, obviously that's great, but it's it's more of a challenge. But yeah, middle and headline, those are the spots.
On average, how long is a normal show for you?
How long is the runtime of a show that I'm booked on?
Yeah.
Usually like an hour and a half, 2 hours max. I think hour and a half is like a perfect length for a show. After that, people start getting a little antsy in their seats. Over 2 hours is just too long. Sometimes promoters think like, oh, I'll book a really long show and people feel like they're getting a lot of value. No, man, they're tired. Like it's brutal for the comics at the end after the 2 hour mark. Like hour and a half is a sweet spot.
Can you tell my audience a little bit about writing jokes as well? And did it come to you naturally?
No, it was not. It was not natural for me. I don't. The only time I actually put pen to paper is once I've like tried a premise out on stage, which is just like an idea I might have, like while cleaning or God knows when. Anytime these ideas come to you. I try a premise and then I go up there. And I'm like, okay, that was way too wordy, and then I'll put it to paper, pen and paper, just to try to like economize the words. You know what I mean? But I don't start by writing. I usually start with just an idea, a premise, and try that out on stage, and then come back.
And do you get some of it from your life experiences as well?
Oh, pretty much mostly from life experience, yeah. Or just like, the BS I see around me. Might not be happening to me directly, but just what I observe. Yeah, absolutely.
Can you tell my audience just a little bit about yourself, Jen?
Well, I'm born and raised in Toronto, and I honestly love the city. It's kind of whatever. We'll address that later. Toronto's kind of gone down the tubes recently, but born and raised in Toronto. Very proud to be Torontonian, proud to be Canadian. What can I tell you? My father's background is like his origin is English, like way back, and my mom is immigrant from Japan. And so I grew up kind of biculturally, I guess you could say. There was kind of there's plenty of Japanese culture in my life growing up, but predominantly, obviously, you can hear the way I speak. I grew up Anglo-Canadian, I guess. And sorry for the sirens in the background. I don't have earphones at all.
It's okay. It happens.
Guessing. Yeah.
It's okay. I've had guests have dogs barking on my show or cats meowing, so it's part of the show. But I was going to ask you this too, Jen. Obviously, Canadian humor is different than from the States and stuff, but do you find each city, even in Ontario, the audiences get a different perception of comedy?
Yes, most definitely. So, kind of like in the smaller towns and more remote areas, they're not exactly big thinkers, or at least that's what they don't want in their comedy when they're getting entertained. Um, you know, they like their dirty jokes out there. It's all good. It's all good. The dirty jokes are fine and good. And then even within Toronto, like different clubs, you have to adjust your material sometimes. Like there's one club where I guess you could say a lot of young, more woke people are the clientele. So sometimes like, yeah, you say jokes, not racist jokes, but racial jokes. And then you see all these like young white 20-something-year-olds like get really uncomfortable. And, but I know that like, oh, that joke's fine at some other establishment or whatever. So even within Toronto, there's a difference, but for sure across the province and small towns, big cities, it's different.
I've talked to a few comedians from Los Angeles and California, and they tell me certain clubs they have to sign an agreement saying they can't talk politics or religion. They have to really watch what they say. Is that the same in Ontario too, with some of these clubs where you have to sign an agreement?
I've never heard of that anywhere.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how much has our society, which has been changing into a PC society, how much has that affected how you do your comedy as well?
Not too much. I mean, again, it's like I know, like I'll maybe adjust a joke here or there, or be like, oh, I know I'm not going to get laughs if I do this joke. It's not about, oh, I better not say this because I'm going to get in trouble. For me, it's, are they going to laugh or not? If they're not, why bother doing it? There's just dead air up there. Fill it in with something that they're definitely going to laugh at. So yeah, I guess you have to adjust a little bit, you know? Yeah.
This next question, you've already answered the top part. I wanted to ask you, Jen, who were some of your early influences and mentors in your career when you started out 14 years ago?
Um, I guess in terms of like comedians I don't know. Um, Joan Rivers was always number one for me. Always number one, always will be. Um, and then Sebastian Maniscalco and Bill Burr. Now, I don't know if I would say they were influences or they were just my favorite comics when I started, but it's funny because when I like I'm not exactly a hugely animated comedian, and especially when I was just starting out, I was very much more quiet and reserved. So to have these three like loudmouths as my top three favorite comedians is kind of funny. But maybe it was like I aspired to be a little more open and expressive like those three were. But in terms of like comedians who I actually know who are mentors to me, Martha Chavez, who I mentioned earlier, she's a Canadian comedy icon, and she genuinely supported me and encouraged, studying comedy. She was great. And then another comic in Toronto named Sandra Battellini. She had always kind of been a mentor influence to me. She's a Canadian Comedy Award winner and just lets her rip. You know what I mean? And love her. And then yeah, just other comics like in the scene in Toronto. You know what I mean? Like I always respected like Ron Jossel is another great guy who like all these comics I'm mentioning had been doing it for like over 20 years. But even when I was starting out and I sucked so bad, they were very supportive and encouraging, and they could see that I was like, seriously trying to just get better and better. And to this day, the three of them are all very supportive and encouraging of me. Yeah, they're the best.
You just mentioned that when you first started out. I know when I first started doing this 5 years ago during the pandemic, I was awful. I couldn't get guests on, but I had friends that believed in me. And I just tell anybody, any career you do, comedy, radio, whatever, it takes time. You have to do your reps. And the only way you get better is to keep doing it over and over and over and learning and keep improving. Also, Jen, I was going to ask you too. Do you find, speaking from your personal experience, do you find there's more females in the comedy industry now, especially in Canada, in Toronto, than they were when you first started out 14 years ago?
Yeah, and I wish I could quantify that, but no, it does feel like a lot more. I remember when I first started out, it was a lot of, yeah, the whole lack of females on shows. That was like a big thing then. You don't hear people complaining about that so much more. I think it's the scales are balancing a little more. Um, but for sure, yeah, there was a bit of a lack of female comics, I think, when I started. Yeah, I would say so.
When I think of Toronto comedy, obviously you think of Second City, but I was born in the 70s. I'm ancient, and I remember growing up watching our version of Saturday Night Live called SCTV with
Yeah.
the late John Candy, Eugene Martin, Martin Short, Joe Flaherty, Andrea Martin. Canada's got a reputation for being hockey, beer, donuts, but we've produced a lot of great comedians over the years.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Yeah, I used to watch SCTV with my dad. That was yeah, they were hilarious. And yeah, Kids in the Hall, of course, Jim Carrey, you know, legends.
If you had to pick one, if you could only pick one to represent Canada, who would you pick?
Oh, wow. Like, okay, but are we talking sketch or stand up or what?
Stand up. Stand up.
I guess Norm Macdonald.
That's a pretty good choice.
Do you mean of the legends? Oh man,
And I would say,
too much
for
pressure. I'm
for
just kidding.
me, for me, it would be the late John Candy.
Did he do stand up?
I don't know, but he. I don't know, but he would have
Yeah,
probably been good at it if he had.
yeah, he would have for sure. He would have killed it.
But absolutely,
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on the current Saturday Night Live? Do you find it's still as good as it used to be?
I haven't watched it in years, to be honest with you. Yeah, not because I'm like, oh, this stinks. It's just I don't have a television right now, and I'm just out. I don't know. I don't know. I just haven't been watching it for years.
On average, how many shows do you do per week?
Oh, I'll try to do at least 4. Yeah, but some weeks are slower. Some weeks are busier. You know.
For those people that are watching this live stream and on audio platforms in WQEE 99.1 FM, and there's somebody's interested in getting into the comedy industry, what advice would you give to somebody that's trying to start out in this business?
Don't. Don't. No, no, I'm just kidding. The advice is don't um, don't try to be something right away. It takes a long time to find your voice. I'm still finding my voice. I remember like comedy mentors would tell me it might take you 10, 15 years to find your voice. And I remember arrogantly in the beginning being like, "Well, what are you talking about? Like, oh, surely I'll find my voice, before that." But it really does take a long time. And when you go up there and you're not genuinely just yourself and just genuinely up there trying to like take an original, not even necessarily an original idea, but anyway, a perspective or a perspective that's yours. If they can see, they can tell if you're trying to frame it in somebody else's view. You're thinking of Chris Rock saying it, or you're thinking of whoever else saying it, even if it's like your mom. You know what I mean? Like, has to be your perspective and your voice, and don't yell. A lot of new comics go up there and they just like start screaming into the mic. I remember once I saw somebody's tweet that said like, is he funny or does he just yell a lot? Yeah. But no, when you're a new comic, you just got to go out there a lot, a lot, a lot, get your reps in, just do it a lot, do it as often as you can.
What do you as a stand-up comedian, do you also take voice lessons as well?
I do not take voice lessons. No.
And before you go on show live, do you like drink water or do you drink tea or something like that?
No. No, no, nothing like that. I just for overall health, sure, but it's not has nothing to do with going on stage.
Do you have any rituals or superstitions before going on stage?
I have to go pee. If like my biggest fear in life is pissing my pants. And I had
Same here.
paused for a second because I was like, "Oh, is that a curse word?" No, it's not. But so just go empty the bladder, right? That way, my biggest fear, I don't have to contend with that while I'm on stage. And then, yeah, again, it's just like observe, watch the audience. As much as possible, I like to watch the whole show before I go up, because nothing drives me nuts more than when a comic does crowd work, but people have already been spoken to by like a previous comic or a host. So I don't want to do that. So I pay attention.
Do you remember the first time you performed in front of a live audience, and were you a little bit nervous?
Yeah, I was nervous. So I guess it was technically like the first comedy open mic I did. It was a very yeah, good supportive room. Um, my jokes or whatever they were, yeah, they went over fine. Yeah, I got a good reaction.
What's the biggest audience you've performed in front of so far?
Um, Probably At the Danforth Music Hall in Toronto. It's about 1,100 people. And that was actually the first and only show my parents have seen. Yeah, that
Really?
was, yeah. Well, I didn't, want to involve them previous to that. Um, but yeah, it was a CBC radio recording. So it was a clean set, sold out venue. So it was like the perfect thing for my parents to see me for the first time doing stand up. They're like, "Oh, this is what she's up to, eh? Okay." Instead of like the running the risk of inviting them to a show that may or may not sell well, and you don't know until you're there, and then they're like, this is what your dream is? 6 people in a basement?" You know what I mean? Yeah.
What do you enjoy the most about the comedy industry, and what are some of the hardest aspects of getting into the industry?
What do I enjoy the most? I guess that it's like it's the Wild West. There's no boss, there's no HR, there's no rules really. That's what I enjoy the most about the industry. What I enjoy the least, or what's the most challenging, is social media. Man, I hate that shit. I'm like just on the cusp. I can't even blame my age, right? Because like, grandmothers are killing it on TikTok these days. You know what I
I'm
mean?
on TikTok now too, and it's actually been a really good tool for me, but it's a lot of work doing
Yeah.
all the social media work. It's a full-time job itself.
I hate it. I honestly hate it. And just being savvy with like, I remember when Twitter first came out, I was like, hashtag, what is this? They're like, yeah, the TikTok I'm like, I know what symbol a hashtag is, but like the concept of like, yeah, hashtags. I was like, fuck this. Oh, sorry.
It's
I'm
okay. It's okay. We're cool. We're
okay.
cool. We're
That'll
good.
be my one and done. No more
Yeah,
after that.
we're cool.
But I refuse to use Twitter, and then I refuse to use TikTok. And look at my career now. No, I get it though. It's just the way it is. Gone are the days where it's like you just build a name for yourself solely on the road or live performances or physical albums, right? It's all online. I get it. I got to catch up.
Yeah, for me in a way it's been great because I didn't know what I wanted to do until I was 47, and I got a taste of doing broadcasting, which led to my podcast show. And I've had to learn so much from social media and the hashtags and doing these. And I've had to learn to edit video, which is really tedious. But
Mhm.
as a radio show host and being in media, it's important to be able to take clips from my shows and promote my guests and my work because Jen, we're in a society nowadays where people don't have long attention spans and everybody wants things done fast and quick nowadays.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I get it. I'm just going to keep saying I hate it though while I try to navigate it. I will go out swinging.
Abs- Absolutely, Jen. Hey, I wanted to ask you, do I have your permission to play your video? Your fat
Sure.
husband from your YouTube channel. Please check out the Jen Sakato YouTube channel and hit that subscribe notification. Jen, just let me know if you can hear the audio okay.
Sure.
I'm a one-man crew. I do everything on my show.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Just 1 second and we will get this going. The joys of technology sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
My advice to you, I can't fuck around with tall guys anymore because I'm married. My husband's like the biggest walk to. Lighten the fuck up, Jesus. I didn't marry a tall guy, but I got myself a fat man. Yeah. Oh yeah. Love my fat husband. Love my fat husband. Listen, if you ever shacked up with a flexible before, I highly recommend. It's great. It cuts down on your heating bill. Yeah. I haven't used a duvet in 5 winters. I understand. It's fucking hot all the time in my apartment. It's fucking hot. He's got these big, thick, muscular legs that I like. They walk around my house like 2 cartoon roast hams. I like to call them his jumbo. French edition. All right. I feel a couple of you are maybe like, we don't want to positivity. Relax, guys. He does self-identify, okay, as a fact. So it's okay. Also, he's not here. Let's have a nice time. Oh, he's fat. He eats too much. It's not a thyroid problem. Before you guys get excited, right? He eats too much. He eats too much. So I'll give you an example, okay? He'll order an extra large pizza, okay? And I don't eat dairy, so I'm not hitting any of that, right? Then he will proceed to eat 11 of the 12 slices in one go. That's too many slices for one human in one sitting. But what do you do with your leftover pizza, right? You put it in a container, tuck it in the fridge, take it to work the next day, fucking pizza party at work, right? Make that break room smell nice, right? He will take his 12 slice, put it in a container, and then just eat it later that night, just over the sink. I'm like, you had a plate for the first 11 slices. What happened to the plate?
It's okay, you don't have to talk.
So one day he's like, babe, I gotta curb my overeating. This is a problem. I'm like, you know what? I married you fat, so you can just fat it up for the rest of your shortened life, and I'll trade you in for a tall guy. You know what I'm saying? That's a long, yeah, it's a long con I'm running. Give it another 8 years. So now what he does to control his overeating, he'll order still an extra large pizza. He's slow and fat, and he'll still eat 11 of the 12 slices, right? But now what he does, he doesn't put the last slice in the container to save it for later, right? He doesn't trust himself, so now straight in the garbage. Yeah, I know. Okay, all right, take it easy. I know. I don't like the food waste either, but this is what he's doing. Baby steps, all right? We forget it. But this is the type of fag, piece of shit, I've married. Okay, he will wake up in the morning at 3 o'clock. Don't get ahead of me now. Don't get ahead of me now. And he eats the trash pizza. Like a squirrel. I'm like I'm not gonna fucking know, all right? And then he comes back to bed with grease on his lips. I'm like, use your shirt like you always do, all right? All of a sudden we're fancy now, okay? So what I've done to counteract this disgusting behavior, all right? I set my alarm for 2 o'clock in the morning. Head into the trash with the Mr. Clean. Listen, I'm poisoning my husband. But it's for his health, you understand? I'm helping. Cleans him right up, it's never looked better. I still feel maybe a couple of you are like, doctor. Sounds like body shaming me. Relax, guys. It's not fat shaming if you're fucking them. All right?
Thank you so much for that clip, courtesy of Jen Sakata's YouTube channel.
Yeah, thanks.
Thoughts on that performance, and that was at Yuck Yucks. Was that Yuck Yucks in Toronto?
Yeah, on Richmond Street. That was a special show. I can't really remember. Oh, yeah. It was like in support of some Asian Youth Foundation or something, and Simu Liu was there. And anyway, that was a fun show. I should say, no, I'm no longer with that husband. So.
Oh, okay.
But,
sorry.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's okay. But I can still use that joke. Just refer to him as my ex-husband. Yeah.
In your career so far, Jen, what has been some of your, I shouldn't say favorite, I'd say most memorable clubs and cities to perform so far in your comedy career? And just thoughts on your golf performance at the Royal Electric, I believe on August 6th, which was, 2 months ago?
Yeah, that's very nice. You keep hyping up that show. It was a fun show where, I had a lot of fun with the audience that night. That was a fun show. We got a little chaotic at some points, but that was fun. Some of my favorite spots to play. There's a spot in Toronto called the Corner Comedy Club. It's always a good vibe there. That's like one of those venues where like you could just let her rip, just say whatever, and they're not going to clutch their pearls. You know what I mean? That's a great one. I've had good times, man, all across this country. Some clubs have come and gone. The pandemic definitely did a few in. But there was one place that was legendary in Toronto called the Underground Comedy Club. and it was a place. It's no longer there. It was a place where you would smoke weed and enjoy a performance. And so there actually were a few of these like weed shows. So whether they're vapor lounges or places where you could smoke weed in the city, and this is before legalization. And ironically, after legalization of marijuana took place, all these places got shut down. And the reason why is because the government of Ontario's Non-Smoking Act was amended to include marijuana, cigarettes, and vaporizers. So it was never the police that came and shut down these weed shows prior to legalization. The police were aware of them, but they were just like, oh yeah, yeah, as long as we don't get complaints from the neighbors. And they never did, because stoners are peaceful people, right? They're not like drunk and rowdy and breaking bottles, right? And then so legalization happened, the government came in, all these like bylaw inspectors are like, oh, what's all this smoking and vaping going on indoors? Shut down. Yeah. So that was like one drawback of legalization of marijuana.
I had no idea about that, Jen, and that's what I love about doing my show. Every guest I have on, whether they're a comedian from Canada or the States or whatever profession they're in, I always learn something for them, and I had no idea. I wanted to quickly ask you about the pandemic. How hard was the comedy industry hit with that? And did you do any live streaming comedy performances
Oh
in those
yeah.
2 years?
I will probably never do a Zoom comedy show ever again. Like they're just awful. They're just awful. I don't care what anyone says. You know, sometimes you're doing a Zoom comedy show to just everyone has their damn screen off. Everyone has their mics off. So you're literally just telling jokes into the abyss. People are like chopping up vegetables like while watching you. Like it's not conducive to a live comedy show. You know what I mean? There were also some shows, like outdoor shows during the pandemic. Like there was ones like in parks and whatnot. And we were like so hungry to perform, us comics. It was like a battle to like get on these outdoor shows. I remember like when places opened up again, like places had like plexiglass like surrounding the stage. It was ridiculous. It was a really crazy science fiction time we all went through, and comedians, yeah, were part of that.
As much as I love doing my radio talk show virtually like we are today, I've been doing the last 2 years since the pandemic's restrictions. There's nothing better than being at a live sporting event, comedy act, and interviewing people live in person, because you got to think on your feet more. And I did watch some comedy acts from Flappers in Burbank that was live streamed, but I think in hindsight, it would be much better in live than the live stream. You're limited as a comedian what you can do on a live stream than you can in person.
So was there any audience at all?
Flappers, yes, there was, but they had everybody's mics had to be muted while the comedian was speaking.
So the comedian was on stage at Flappers performing to people on the computer.
Yep, through Zoom.
What a nightmare. What a nightmare. I would hate that.
The only good thing about the pandemic was, for me, I found what I wanted to do. I found my passion, and this technology allowed me to do my own radio talk show from my own home.
Yeah, that's great.
But like you said, there's nothing better than being on stage or in person live.
Exactly.
Jen, do you still have a couple more minutes for a couple more quick questions?
Yeah, I got a few more minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Jen, I wanted to ask you this. What was the experience like performing at the San Diego Comedy Festival and Just for Laughs in Toronto and all across Canada? And what was the humor like on the West Coast compared to us East Coast people?
Well, when you say West Coast, East Coast, I think you still have to make the distinction of Canada or the US. I find American audiences laugh really easily and at really dumb topics. I'm sorry. Like you can go up there and just like start making fart noises with your mouth and people will die laughing. Sorry, America, but read a book. That's not even read a book. It's just like, expand your mind a little bit. So when I went down to do the San Diego Comedy Festival, it was really interesting. I also spent a little bit of time just checking out open mics in LA. And that's what I found. I was like, oh, you guys are still doing black people are like this and white people are like that. There's a lot of that going on still. But obviously some amazing comics. I think the winner, oh geez, I can't remember the winner of the San Diego Comedy Festival that year because it was a competition. Anyway, I can't remember. Great story. And then Just for Laughs Toronto, that's always a good time. I've opened for a few great Canadian headliners for that festival, and then it's just been a trip. Every show, every performance is a learning experience. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Any plans in the future to write your own book about your story?
I don't think so. I don't think so. A book? Wow. No, I think like I've gone through a lot in the last year. My father passed away. I'm going
I'm
through a
sorry.
divorce. Oh, it's all good, man.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah, it was his time, and I was actually by his side, so I'm very much at peace with it. But yeah, and then I'm going through a divorce, so someone's like, this could be a good, one person, one man show. It's definitely one man show material for sure. I always found like one man shows to be like, okay, it's like really like very self it's gratifying for the performer. They can be a little, I don't know, pretentious, but to me it's like, I don't know if anyone's going to want to listen to me talk for a full hour about my life. A full hour stand-up is different. You're not always talking about just your life, but a one-person show or a book, no, I don't. People don't want that much of me, I don't think. Maybe Maybe I'll make a pamphlet. How about that?
Deal, and I'll take a copy.
Okay,
hey, I gotta ask you this: do you find comedy is like a therapy for most stand-up comedians, and obviously for the audience too? Because when you go to a show, you just want to laugh and have a good time, and whatever problems you have outside of there, it's like a therapy.
Yes, and it's yeah. So oftentimes, at the more amateur level of comedy, or like, watching someone who hasn't been doing it for too long, they might go up there and literally use the mic as their therapist. And then you bum everyone out in the audience and they don't have a good time. So as long as you take your pain or your troubles or whatever and make it funny, then use it as your therapy all you want. But there's nothing more sad than being bummed out by a comedian. Yeah. So I find it's therapeutic for sure. Yeah. But I have an actual therapist who will listen to my problems and I pay her. So that's what I would like other comedians to hear is get a real therapist.
But comedy therapy is a lot cheaper than seeing a shrink or a therapist.
I know, that's why there's a lot of like sad comics.
All right, Jen, for somebody watching this show today has never seen one of your performances live yet, how would you describe your comedy style?
I guess like observational, I guess. Yeah. I just talk a lot about my own personal experience and what I see in the world and how I see it. And there's some more sirens. I do apologize.
No worries. It's part of living in the big city.
That's right.
By the way, I'll be in Toronto tomorrow too, by the way.
Cool.
Covering the Argos game at BMO Field.
Oh, cool. All right.
So it's a great experience. But driving in Toronto is just a one experience. So I make sure I take the GO train. But when I'm on the GO train, there's so many people on the GO train. I just keep quiet and I just like to listen to other people's conversations.
Oh, yeah.
It's very fascinating.
Mm-hmm. It's really amazing. I'm constantly eavesdropping on people, and it's really amazing what people will say and not really care if other people are within earshot. I'm like, I know everything about your infection now. Like, keep this to yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's a lot of chatty Cathys out there, that's for sure.
Now, there's a lot of styles of comedy. Do you still find there's room for slapstick comedy? Because
Yes.
I grew up with that.
I love slapstick comedy. Why is it so funny when somebody falls down? I don't know why, but it never won't be funny.
Do you have a favorite movie?
Oh, like a slapsticky.
Yeah, type movie.
I, I guess could you call Ace Ventura Pet Detective?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I love Jim Carrey in that movie. I don't know what else.
Happy Gilmore.
Oh, sure. Yeah, 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 yeah.
What are your thoughts on the sequel coming out?
I didn't know there was a sequel coming out.
Yes,
Actually.
yeah, it's coming out. It's coming out on Netflix, and they're going to bring back most of the original crew. Unfortunately, Carl Weathers passed away, so he won't be back. But it's coming out in Netflix, and it's funny that a lot of these movies that used to be on the big screens are all now on Netflix. Live streaming has changed the movie industry, and to some degree the comedy industry as well.
Mm. Yeah, very much so. And it's actually pretty cool. Like Netflix does these like live things now, right? So that's pretty wild too.
Now, would you like to promote your Western tour while you're on here? And do you have any plans for a USA tour in the future as well?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm starting off in Regina on Friday, October 4th at the Exchange. Then I'm doing Saskatoon on the 5th. And then I'm working my way out west. All of my dates are on my website. And then I'm ending up on Vancouver Island. But I'm hitting up Vancouver too. And so everything is at jensakato.com. In terms of the US, man, I'd love to do shows in the US for sure. So hopefully, I don't know, maybe start doing that next year.
If you had a choice between New York, LA, which one would you choose first?
I would never live in the US. The US is, to me, a crazy country. Okay, I'm sorry. I know a lot of your listeners are American. I'm sure you are all individually wonderful rays of sunshine. But it seems like a crazy country to me. I'm happy to work there, but I do not want to reside. But to answer your question, I'm definitely more of a New York vibe.
New York vibe, okay. And before I wrap this up, can you just quickly tell us about your debut album, The Dozen, and how did this come about, and how's it been going on? I've seen it on Spotify. I think you have 12 tracks on there.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of donuts, so I had to incorporate that love of donuts somehow. So that's why this is called The Dozen. And the cover of the album is me like being like a kind of mob boss. It's like a cartoon picture of me being a mob boss of like donuts, overseeing production. Anyway, yeah, that was really fun to do. It was recorded with Howl and Roar Records, which is an independent label based in Toronto, and she books a lot of like women or like people of color or whatever. That wasn't that interesting. I mean, important to me to work with a label like that. I'm just mentioning that for information. But they were really supportive. It was really easy. I recorded it over 2 shows, one night, 2 shows, and then I just chopped it up. And yeah, it did. I still get people listening to it on Spotify, and I feel a little bit like, because it's been like 4.5 years since I released that. And I'm like, I have more material that I want to record in the next 5 months. So hopefully we'll have something up soon. Yeah, a second album in about 5 months, I hope.
Gonna put you on the spot here. Have you thought of a name yet for the second album yet?
Yes, I have, but I can't share it with you yet. It's not even that. It's not even that interesting of a reason why I can't share it with you, but it'll be fun.
Gonna put you on the spots. You said donuts. What's your favorite donut, and what are your thoughts on Tim Horton donuts, which are half the size that they used to be, and they're not even baked fresh anymore?
Really? Is that so? I don't frequent Tim Hortons. The Tim Hortons of my youth and the Tim Hortons of today are very different. Tim Hortons back in the day used to be tasty stuff, okay? They did donuts, bagels, cookies, muffins, that's it. And their Timbits, of course. Then I think they were purchased by like a Brazilian company or something. They tried to sell lasagna. It was terrible. The coffee is now garbage. I honestly don't go in there anymore. And I don't eat their donuts. But my favorite donut spot, I have two favorite donut spots. One is in St. Catharines, Ontario, called Beechwood Donuts. They're phenomenal. The other
Okay.
one is in Toronto called Machino's, or maybe it's Makino's. I'm not sure, but they're phenomenal too. And then overall, I like a cream-filled donut, like a Boston cream or a jelly-filled. Those are my favorites.
I used to love the blueberry powdered jelly filled
Oh my
donuts.
God. Yeah.
They were messy, but
Oh yeah.
they tasted good.
Part of the fun, man.
But being in Toronto, I would not eat a Boston cream donut because the Maple Leafs always get beat by Boston. So Leaf fans
Oh
are a little bit sore about that.
yeah. I'm surprised no one here has sold like a Leafs cream donut or something. I mean, a Toronto. Never mind. I don't. Clearly, I'm not a sports fan.
That's okay too. That's okay too. I do this with all my guests when we wrap up. What is one? You don't have to give me two, but what's a fun fact about Jen Sakato that your fans and audience might not know about you besides the donuts?
What is a fun fact? A fun fact. Oh God, what's a fun fact besides the donuts? Oh, that was gonna be my fact. I don't know, man. Give me some inspiration. I'm like at a loss right now.
C&E Wonderland.
What about them? Oh, I love rides.
Do you?
I love rides.
What's your favorite rides?
Right now at Canada's Wonderland is a ride called the Yukon Striker. There's like a 90-degree drop. That one's pretty cool. And at the CNE is a ride called the Zipper, which wasn't there this year. Maybe somebody finally died on it. But any kind of ride where you could lose change, those are my favorites.
I grew up in the 70s, so I miss the Flyer, the wooden roller coaster at the CNE.
Okay, yes.
But I normally stay to the kiddie rides.
Hey, where are the majority of your American listeners?
They're in Georgia, just outside of Atlanta, but I also have listeners in 38 other countries as well. So this isn't just a golf podcast. This is international show, and the technology is amazing. And I have a friend in Albany, New York. She does radio from her basement as well to 6 other stations in
That's
6
amazing.
different states. So this technology, there are negatives to it, but if you do it the right way, it can be a really great tool.
Absolutely. Well, the reason I was asking is because at Dollywood, which is Dolly Parton's amusement park in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, there is a ride called the Something Eagle. I think it's her latest ride. That one was really sick. And Dollywood was actually built like in the Smoky Mountains. So sometimes like on some of her roller coasters, you're actually like whipping around through trees and stuff. It's pretty cool.
What's the scariest ride you've been on, and have you been on any at Cedar Point, which is in Sandusky, Ohio?
No, I've never been there. The only rides I don't like is like at Wonderland, it's called the Drop Zone, the one where it just drops straight down. I do not like that one. I don't like that feeling of my heart in my mouth.
I'm not a big fan of heights, so I just stick to the water rides.
Oh yes, nice.
Have you done the edge walk on the CN Tower yet?
No, I haven't, but I would like to. Have you done that?
No, but I don't mind watching.
Oh, that's right. You probably won't.
No, I haven't been up to the CN Tower since 1978.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a while. I need to go back up there. I'm just not going to do the edge walk. And just for some reason, my knees start shaking when I'm up high.
It's a common response.
So, all right, Jen. And finally, where can my audience follow you on social media, your website? And I saw on your website you have merch coming as well.
Yeah. So I in terms of my merch, it's like I really didn't want to buy something and sell something that's made in China. I don't know. Life is short. Maybe I'll start doing that next year. But I tried to find something that wasn't made in China, and then I came across this sock company in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And so I sell Jen Sakatos. You like that? Sakatos. You like, hey, this is not even, I'm wearing them today. I'm wearing them right now. Here, I took them off. So it says donut slut. Can you see that?
Yes.
Donut slut.
Okay.
And then, oh gosh, these are kind of dirty and I have a lot of dog hair on the bottom. But then on the bottom, they say, Jen Sakato. Oopsies. Oh, look how dirty they are. I'm so sorry. This is not my
That's okay.
home. This is not my home. The
That's
floors are
okay.
very dirty here. Anyway, so I sell socks. They're not on my website yet. Right now, I'm just selling them after the shows, but I'll get them online soon enough. And then,
very creative.
right? Aren't they? Yeah.
And I have my own, I guess you can't see my mug. I have my own mug and my own logo. So I've got mugs and t-shirts I'm coming out with.
Right on.
So when I get some new t-shirts, just let me know your size and what color, and I'll send you one of my show.
Oh, thank you very much. That's so kind of you.
Are you looking at any other merchandise besides the socks?
I don't know. Yeah, definitely something. I don't like a lot of like I don't know. I like to be creative with it. So we'll see. We'll see.
And I love dogs, and I volunteer at a local shelter here. What's the name of your dog, and what's the breed?
Oh, this is not my dog. I'm just watching my friend's dog. But
Okay.
I'm not going to say his name because he's going to be awakened from his slumber, and I like when he's asleep.
That's the best way.
Yeah.
Just like I have a cat that sleeps 15 hours a day. The only time she wakes up is when she wants her food or treats.
That's a cat.
Her name's Latte, and she's a Siamese cat.
Aw.
I call her Grumpy Cat. She's grumpy until I give her treats.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And before I let you go, Jen, do you have any upcoming shows this weekend you want to promote before we wrap up?
I don't have anything booked this weekend, actually. I'm doing a lot of family stuff. But yeah, I just really want people to come out to the West End Tour. If anyone's listening from Saskatchewan, come on out to Regina and Saskatoon next weekend.
And Jen, give me a little bit of time this afternoon, and I will send you the video, the audio copy of this, and I will break down a number of reels and clips, and I will tag you in if you'd like to promote this episode on your social media pages as well.
Yeah, thank you.
And please let me know when you do come back to the Guelph, Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge area, and I'd be happy to come see you perform live.
Oh, awesome. I'd love to have you out.
And you have an open invite to come back on my show again in the future.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jen. Have a great weekend, and we'll keep in touch. You
All
too.
right.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, guys. That was Jen Sakato. She is a stand-up comedian based out of Toronto, and she's got a Western Canada tour coming up in October 2024. You can check out jensakata.com for dates and tickets as well. Before we wrap up the show, guys, I'm going to show you an interview I did with the play-by-play announcer for the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders last weekend at Salem Field in Buffalo. His name is Adam Markle, and I did an interview with him. And just give me a minute, and we're going to play this interview with Adam Markle of the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders as well. Just give me 1 second, bear with me, and we'll play this interview. And speaking of playoffs, we got Major League Baseball this weekend as well. We're going to talk about. But again, check out my YouTube channel, Chris Palme, live with CDP Sports Talk. Hit the subscribe notification. And here's my interview with the play-by-play voice of the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders, the top farm team of the New York Yankees, Adam Markle. Chris Palme here, radio host of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show on WQEE 99.1 FM. I'm here at Salem Field for tonight's matchup between the Scranton's Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders taking on the Buffalo Bisons at 6:05 tonight. I have a special guest with me, and he's the voice of the Rail Riders, and his name is Adam Markle. Adam, thoughts on the series against the Buffalo Bisons so far?
It's been a very interesting series, going 12 innings. First time we've played a 12-inning game in exactly a year to the day, and we beat Buffalo on the September 17th, 2023 in 12 innings. Year to the day, we played them another 12-inning game, which was a nail-biter. This Rail Riders team has been in a playoff chase the entire second half. Got eliminated with that loss on the walk-off on Wednesday. So it's an interesting series. It's a fun series to watch. I love coming to Buffalo. I love when the Rail Riders and Bison get together.
Obviously, the teams had a stronger second half. What's some of the reasons for the stronger second half than in the first half for the Rail Riders?
Well, I think this team has been very good this entire season. We were, in April and early May, one of the best teams in all of baseball, and Omaha got hot at the right time. We had some call-ups to the big leagues. This club this season, they've been predicated on speed, on running the bases, not just an International League record steal tally, but the ability to get from first to third. And unlike certainly last year's team, this team has been the best in the International League with runners in scoring position. So while you can have some bumps in the road on the pitching side, when your offense has that ability to click and when this club wins games, it's not just one player. It's always seemingly 1 through 9 in the order where everybody contributes with a couple of hits or productive at-bats, getting on base, whatever the case may be. We do post-game videos with Shelly Duncan, our manager, and he always seemingly talks about 1 through 9 being a factor in every single win this year.
Thoughts on Shelly Duncan, who is a former Major League Baseball player, and the impact he's had on developing these players along with the rest of the coaching staff for the Real Riders?
This is our second season with Shelly at the helm. Of course, he's a former SWV Yankee, 2007, was the International League MVP in 2009. So real players manager, it's somebody who understands the game, wasn't playing it that long ago. Shelly's now in his early 40s and has made his way through a couple different teams, working lower levels, coaching, coordinator, and now the opportunity these last 2 years to manage. I think players really gravitate to his personality. It's fun to be around him, to watch how he handles this team. People remember Shelly Duncan as a slugger, a home run hitter. And so to see his team this year not be predicated on the home run, but on the speed, is kind of fascinating because it allows him to manage in a different way. And I think we even from 23 to this year get to see how he and Jose Javier are sending runners and how Shelly and Trevor Amicone are working with hitters to provide the offense this team needs on a nightly basis.
Wanted to ask you this, Adam. I'm old school, but do you find fundamentals aren't the same as they used to be in baseball with like bunting, moving guys over, and using the speed game?
I think it's predicated on your roster, and I'm wholeheartedly in on that because of this team this season. Years ago, 2-3 years ago, we were hitting home runs 200, 219, setting new franchise records. And in this case this year, that's not the strength of this team. Taylor Trammell has 18 home runs. Jose Rojas has 18 home runs. He hasn't played for us since the middle of July. It's not that team. So the fundamentals, I think, were reinvigorated, at least in my eyes this season, because of how this team has played and their ability to set a new franchise record in runs scored. It's second most in the International League. And it's not because it's that Yankees build home run, Judge, Soto, Stanton, guys hitting it out of the yard. It's because we're moving runners over. We're taking team at bats. And those are true fundamentals that I feel like have been reinvigorated for me to see based on how I've watched this team play this year.
I believe the Real Riders have been associated with the Yankees now for 17 years, I believe. And what's your thoughts on the partnership with the New York Yankees?
It's amazing to be associated with a global brand in baseball. And, every one of these big league teams, they've got such a long legacy, a history in this game. Even the teams that haven't been around long still have a legacy. But the Yankee brand, that Yankee logo, it's so well respected across the country, across the world. It's a sense of pride for these players to be a part of this organization, to watch them play on a nightly basis, to know that we're going to see guys today that might be factoring in the major leagues for the 27-time World Series champions. It is not a thought that ever goes lost on me.
For tonight's game at 6:05, who are some Real Rider players to keep an eye out for the public?
Caleb Durbin, atop of this order, has been outstanding to watch this season, and he missed a couple of months with a hand injury. He has really been a catalyst. He was middle to lower portion of the lineup when the season started, but he was then virtually indispensable at the top of that order. Watching Durbin play, it's grit, it's hustle, and he's in the leadoff spot more often than not for this team. He's a guy that walks more than he strikes out. He steals bases. It's a fun player to watch. It's a very gritty, not high-end prospect. It's not the Dominguez. It's not the names that people know, but it's a name they're going to know.
Thoughts on the acquisition of former Buffalo Bison, Toronto Blue Jays prospect Cam Eden, and how they fit in with the Real Riders?
This has been a very different year. We've had a lot of former Buffalo Bisons this season. Kevin Smith, Tim Meza was a Rail Rider. Tom Pannone is a Rail Rider right now. It's not the first time that we've had one, and this year especially. So I thought we were kind of Buffalo South this season. Cam's been a fun acquisition. His first at bat with Scranton Wilkes-Barre was a pinch hit triple. He's hit the ball, I think, better since he joined the Rail Riders than his time with Buffalo. We utilize him for his speed. You'll see him pinch run a lot. That's something the Yankees tend to do tail end of a season. You see them go out in July, August, and acquire somebody that they could utilize on a postseason roster for speed. So this year it's Cam Eden. They got Duke Ellis as well. We've had Greg Allen this year. Brandon Lockridge could have been that piece prior to the trade to the Padres. So Cam fits that role of a speed guy. He's not on the 40-man roster right now, but I think they go out at that time of year thinking about this time of year, thinking about what's to come. And I can see if there's a window for him to get to the majors with the Yankees, it's because of how quick he is, how smart he is on the base pass. He set a record for Buffalo last season with 53 steals. We haven't seen that much of him since the acquisition, but he's been fun to watch. He's been great to be around, and excited to see these final couple of days with Cam and where the future takes him.
Adam, for those who've never been to a minor league baseball game, what would you tell them why they should come out to a game, either this season, which is wrapping up on Sunday for a lot of the teams, or the 2025 season?
Minor league baseball is family, affordability. It's fun. I learned very early on, it's not just about the baseball. Everybody wants to come out for a different reason. So you have your baseball purists who want to come watch how a pitcher handles a batter and what sequencing they do, and they want to see strong defense. Then you have people like my wife who wants to know what's going on the video board, the in-between inning promotions, or what giveaways we've got at the ballpark. Buffalo does a great job with that. I think we do a pretty good job certainly as well. So if you don't make it out these next couple of days, be sure to check out a minor league game in 2025. There's one probably nearby at some sort of level, and it's a great opportunity to get out, bring some friends, bring the family, enjoy a night out. It's not going to cost as much as going to a major league game. You're going to have a ton of fun at the ballpark, and you might even catch us on a fireworks night.
And finally, Adam, what has been your favorite, most memorable game call this season for the Rail Riders?
That's a tough one. There have been some good walk-off wins for this team. There have been some moments where you just don't think they've got it left in the tank and they work their way back. I don't know if I can pinpoint one necessarily. It's just been a fun ride to watch. I mean, at this point in time, 3 games left in the season, we've seen 86 wins. That is fourth most, tied for fourth most in any single season of our franchise's history, going back to 1989. So you're talking about one of the winningest teams that Northeastern Pennsylvania has seen. I'm just excited that I get to be out there and watch maybe 3 more W's.
And finally, where can people find the Rail Riders, on social media? And what time is your broadcast tonight alongside Emily? And thoughts on her as a color analyst?
Emily's been great. She's been with me now 2 seasons. We have a lot of fun on the broadcast, talk not just about the Rail Riders, but about things going on in baseball. And we had Duff's Wings today, so I'm sure we're going to hit on that on our broadcast tonight. We did Bar Bill 2 days ago, so we love to talk about the food. We talk about the atmosphere of the ballpark. You can catch our broadcast on the SWB Rail Riders Baseball Network. SWBRailRiders.com is the easiest place to find us. Our radio station provides us on their Bold Gold app if you want to go that route. Our pregame show at 5:45 tonight, we're going to hear from hitting coach Trevor Amicone. Tomorrow and Sunday, we have afternoon games. Graham Johnson, our pitching coach tomorrow. Shelley Duncan joins us for the pregame on Sunday. Like to make our way through the coaching staff at the end of the year and get their thoughts on how a season went. 6:05 first pitch is right around the corner. Can't wait.
I want to say thank you so much, Adam Marco, the voice of the Rail Riders, for doing this, and continued success. And hopefully I'll see you down in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre next year for a game for the Rail Riders at home.
Can't wait. Pleasure, and have a great weekend.
Thanks, Adam. All right, guys, that was Adam Marco. He is the play-by-play voice of the International Baseball League's Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders, the top farm team of the New York Yankees, who the Yankees just clinched their 21st American League East Division Championship the other day. And we've got a lot of Major League stuff. Major League Baseball is getting near the playoffs next week, the wild card start. And as for the Detroit Tigers, 85-74 of the Detroit Tigers. Since August 10th, the Detroit Tigers have the best record in baseball. Not the Phillies, not the Yankees, not the Dodgers. The Detroit Tigers, 30 wins, 11 losses in their last 41 games. Their best stretch of baseball in 41 games since their 1984 World Championship. The Tigers have one of the youngest teams, if not the youngest team in baseball, and AJ Hinch has done a great job developing this team, along with the new president and GM Scott Harris. And the Tigers' magic number is 1 game. So the Tigers tonight could clinch a wild card spot with a win tonight, or a Twins loss, or just a simple Minnesota loss. And the Tigers still have a chance to catch Kansas City for that second wild card spot. Kansas City is 85-74 as well, but the Detroit Tigers just been outstanding. They find ways of winning, and they don't quit. Their pitching has been great all year. Their bullpen's been great all year, and they've got young players like Riley Green, Colt Keith, Spencer Torkelson, who actually had to go down to Toledo for a couple of months, Jake Rogers, Winsell Perez. They just have a very good team, and there's no stars, no Eagles on this team. They just go out and play as a team, and they win. So the Tigers have 3 games left in the regular season. Magic number's down to 1. They're playing the 120-loss Chicago White Sox. The White Sox just tied the 62 New York Mets for most losses in the season at 120. So one more loss, they will set a major league record for most losses. And the Detroit Tigers, 1 win or 1 Twins loss this weekend, and they've clinched a playoff spot for the first time since 2014. So it's been a long 10-year, 1-decade drought for Detroit baseball fans. But tonight, KZ Mize is starting for the Tigers against the White Sox. First pitch is the first pitch in Detroit at Comerica Park, 6:40 p.m. And you can catch the game on Bally Sports or on the Ticket 97.1 FM. And a shout out to my cousins Mike and Terry in Taylor, Michigan, who are lifelong Tiger fans and helped me switch over from the Blue Jays to the Detroit Tigers back in the late 70s. So looking forward to that as well. And then we've got college football. As you know, as I'm a Michigan Wolverines fan, you got the 2-2 Minnesota. 2-2 Minnesota taking on the 3-1 Michigan Wolverines for the Little Brown Jug tomorrow at the Big House in Ann Arbor. We'll see if the Wolverines can retain the Little Brown Jug and go to 4-1. CFL. We got CFL tonight. We got Hamilton and BC, and we have Edmonton and Saskatchewan. I will be in Toronto Saturday doing some freelance media work covering the Toronto Argonauts. So make sure you check my social media pages for pictures, videos, and some pre and post game interviews as well. The Alouettes come into this game 11-2-1. The Argos are 7-7. If the Argos can win this game tomorrow night, I believe that would clinch a playoff spot for them. They are currently 4 points ahead of Hamilton for a last playoff spot. So really, a win by the Argonauts, I think, would put a nail in the coffins of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who are 5-9 as well. And we had a couple other CFL games this weekend. We have Edmonton and Winnipeg tonight, Hamilton, BC tonight. And then on the weekend, we have Ottawa and Saskatchewan. And I believe there's one team that has a bye this week, and that is the Calgary Stampeders. And I don't think Calgary is going to make the playoffs this year as well. And as for football, the National Football League, I'm looking forward to Sunday at 1 o'clock. The 2-1 Eagles, led by Jalen Hurts, are on the road again, taking on the 2-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by Baker Mayfield, who just upset the Detroit Lions a couple weeks ago at Ford Field. This game is not going to be easy for the Eagles. And right now, Devontae Smith is questionable. A.J. Brown is questionable. And I believe Lane Johnson is on the questionable list as well. So the Eagles have some injuries right there, but guys are going to have to step up. And after their performance against the Saints, beating them 15-12 and shutting the Saints down to a couple field goals and 1 late touchdown, I believe the Eagles defense will have a very good game against Tampa Bay. So I see the Eagles winning this game 23-17. Eagles 23, Buccaneers 17. As we wrap up this show, guys, like I do always, if you're looking to adopt and not shop, please check out the Cambridge and District Humane Society at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario. Telephone number 519-623-7722, or visit their website at cambridgehumanesociety.org. And they do have 2025 calendars coming out soon. Their calendars are only $10, and you can pre-order yours through their website, cambridgehumanesociety.org, or pop by 1650 Dunbar Road, Cambridge, Ontario. Only $10 for the 2025 Cambridge Humane Society calendars, and the money goes back to the animals in need at the Cambridge District Humane Society. And if you're looking to volunteer, you can do it through their website, and they're doing a monthly 50-50 raffle. And again, you can do it through their website, cambridgehumanesociety.org. And they really do great work down at the Cambridge District Humane Society in Cambridge. As always, Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show is hosted by yours truly, Chris Palme, is on weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk, the heartbeat of Atlanta. Our radio station's website is wqeefm.radio12345.com. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show is live streamed on these platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram. Make sure you follow me there. You can also check out my website at beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show again is sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210, or email them at info@barrycullen.com. Speaking of Barry Cullen Chevrolet right now, check out Barry Cullen Chevrolet all-electric Blazer electric EV. Get up to $6,000 off, includes $5,000 in government rebates and $1,000 off a delivery allowance. Eligible Costco members can receive a $1,200 bonus on select EVs. More details at barrycullen.com, or pop by the dealership again at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. And again, check out their all-electric Blazer EV, and you can get up to $6,000, including $5,000 in government rebates and $1,000 off a delivery allowance. And they are the #1 electric vehicle GM dealership in Ontario. And Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership has been family run and operated here in Guelph since 1969. Yes, Live with CDP merchandise is coming soon. I am getting new t-shirts made. Stay tuned with me very shortly. You can also follow me on TikTok at Live with CDP. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. If you're in webinars or podcasting such as yours truly, check out StreamYard.com. They have basic free plans. They have professional paid plans, which I'm on, and they have business plans for businesses as well. You can do that through StreamYard.com and contact their sales department. And I've been with StreamYard now for my show for 4 years, and I'm quite happy with them as well. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, the audio version is available on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, Tuned In, and YouTube Music, and now available on Good Pods. So look me up on Good Pods, Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show on Good Pods, and hit that subscribe notification. And I want to thank everyone for subscribing and viewing my YouTube channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet, just type in Chris Palme Live with CDP Sports Talk and hit that subscribe notification. Finally, guys, you can email or text Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show at cpalme19@gmail.com, or you can text the show at 519-820-7188. Any comments, questions, suggestions, feedback would be greatly appreciated. And again, I want to say thank you to my guest today, Jen Sakato. a stand-up comedian out of Toronto, Ontario. Please check out jensakata.com. She's on all social media platforms, and she has a Western Canada tour coming up October 2024 as well. And she was in Guelph a couple of months ago at the Royal Electric Club downtown Guelph as well. And before we wrap up, guys, the next live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, Season 8, Episode 52, sponsored by BarryCullin.com, and weeknights at 8 p.m. on WQEE 99.1 FM. Monday, September 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern. My special guest, Greg Eno. This will be his third appearance. He is the co-host of his own podcast show called the Knee Jerks Podcast, and he's a former Detroit media personality. And Greg and I are going to talk about these 2024 Detroit Tigers and hopefully who they are playing in the wild card round of the American League playoffs. And it's just been a great turnaround by this 2024 Detroit Tiger team that's now 85-74, and they've won 30 out of their last 41 games. So I'm excited to do a show with Greg Eno on Monday to talk Tigers baseball and maybe get his predictions on the Detroit Lions Seattle Seahawks Monday night game at Ford Field as well. So it's going to be a busy weekend, everybody, with Major League Baseball, the National Hockey League preseason, the National Football League, college football, the CFL going on. And again, please check out my social media pages tomorrow on Sunday for some pictures, videos, and some pre and post game interviews from the Toronto Argonauts Montreal Alouettes game at BMO Field in Toronto. 7 o'clock kickoff. Again, thank you to Jen Sakato, my guest for today, for coming on. And I want to say thank you to everyone watching this on live stream and on audio. And of course, WQEE 99.1 FM, the home of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, the Argo Bounce Live audio show with Nick Small and myself, and of course, the Small Talk podcast with Marlene Sharp and myself. I hope everybody has a great Friday night, great weekend, and we'll see you back here Monday at 7 p.m. with Greg Eno talking 2024 Detroit Tigers. Go get them, Tigers. And fly Eagles fly on Sunday and beat those Bucks. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you so much again for watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show.